Hello, hi, things are happening. Let's go live. Look at my hair. Look at me. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this, whatever. Welcome to Rational Live. We're going to be watching the State of the Union address tonight. Look at all these freaks. Whoa. It's going to be quite something. I got two angles on this action. Of course, by two angles, I mean two angles on myself. We got this and we got this. Very important to have multiple angles of me that are essentially the same angle. So I'm a little blue here. You know, if things get a little heated, may want to cool down, I go to the blue camera. Or I go to the red camera if things are a little too cold. So I imagine I'll be here most of the night because I don't really know what to expect here. That's really going to be interesting. But that's why I'm here, to make it interesting. So this is supposed to start at 9, hopefully 9 on the dot. I was worried all these countdowns were like, oh, we're going to launch our stream at 9, which I thought, so you're going to start after 9? But no, it appears since all these shaking hands, look at this snake in there, all these handshaking going on, that Biden will be starting. My chair is an IKEA chair. It's terrible. That I assume we're starting at 9, so hopefully it's not too late. Why is this thing 9 p.m.? Like, doesn't Joe Biden go to bed at 8? Like, what is this? How can they even keep him up this long? But no, 9 p.m. You know, these things are whatever. It's pageantry. Exactly. That's who is that? Why do I have dark blue as my... I can't even read your names. I have to go to my other chat here. Which, by the way, I think my audio's... Okay. All right. I was worried that I was being drowned out by the stream because I didn't have my audio up, but it appears we're good. So, yeah, we're going to have a good time. I got an energy drink, at least half of one, so I could stay awake. And I got a water. Hope you all have your drinks and joints ready for this. I also have, you know, in case things get really crazy, go on the vape here, see how this night goes. But all right, so this will you're not going to miss anything here. Let me bring up some information, some things. Starting with maybe some potential focus from Joe Biden. This is put up by Axios here. Biden to push for expanded insulin caps, Medicaid coverage in State of the Union. So there is currently now, I believe, as of this month, or maybe it was last month, there is now a $35 cap on insulin if you're on Medicare. It was going to be for everyone, but then the Republicans blocked that, and they blocked that, so that didn't happen. And then they actually, then a few senators, GOP senators, in October, tried to put together a plan, or they did put together a bill to try and strip that away as well. Even just the basic $35 cap on insulin for those on Medicare. The GOP tried to get rid of that. Of course, there was no support for it because they did not have the majority of anything at the time. But regardless, he's going to try, I guess, continue to push. Basically, what I expect from this speech is that he's going to mention the things that he wants to get done that he could not get done because of what was being blocked by largely Sinema and Manchin, but also, of course, the entire Republican Party for the first 2 years. So I'm sure that, of course, includes this. So expect some discussion on that. He'll also talk about, accomplishments. So he'll talk about the cap on insulin. He will talk about at least the attempt to forgive student loan debt that he has put forward, but now I believe is still tied up in legal battles. Maybe there's some discussion around, is he going to... I think this is a pipe dream, but Fox here with this State of the Union is opportunity for Biden to be more vocal on police reform. Every time I've heard Biden talk about police, he's talked about putting more money into policing, which is just the same. I mean, it's the same direction. It isn't the same as the GOP, but it's the same direction as the GOP. So that is, I don't really know what to expect in terms of that. By the way, yes, this you can see through my rational. It's green. That was on purpose. So in case you were gonna miss something behind me, like maybe there was a message you missed, you will see it now because you can see through this shirt. But I was thinking about should I wear like a collared shirt for the State of the Union? I'm like, no. Nobody fucking cares. So I'm just gonna wear my t-shirt here. But all right, so police reform, maybe. I don't think so. Student loan debt, insulin. Again, he's just gonna go down the list in terms of the economy, jobs numbers look pretty good. So I'm sure he'll bring that up, even though, you wonder how much money those people are actually making. But regardless, job numbers are high. So that, of course, will be brought up. What is this? Oh, yeah. This was under my what not to expect. So Newsmax's Benny Jot says Satanism is resurgent. We're going to see a lot of that tonight. Joe Biden's State of the Union. So that was under my what not to expect. So don't expect Satanism. If you're looking forward to that, I apologize. You should not be expecting much Satanism. But one can always hope. I know I am. What else here? Most Americans are not feeling the impact of the Biden agenda so far, largely because it has not gone nearly far enough. All of this shit, by the way, all predicted by every single person that covers politics on the left. We all told you this is all going to happen. He wasn't going to do enough, wasn't going to push further. And yes, you could, try and blame Manchin Cinema, but if Biden wanted to use the bully pulpit and actually put real pressure on those individuals in their careers and people in their family, like Manchin's family that have jobs within the Democratic Party, then he could have done a little more pressure to try and get some of this passed. But regardless, he didn't go far enough, of course. So many Americans not even feeling any impact of Biden's agenda. So this is, what does it say here? More than 6 in 10 say the president has not accomplished much despite the passage of numerous bills. Because again, we're talking about very basic around the edges stuff. I'm sure now, look, the insulin cap is a big deal for those that are actually on Medicare and will be impacted by that. It is very important to have that. Of course, it could have been better and further expanded and include all pharmaceuticals. But still, if you need insulin, capping it at $35 is definitely a move in the right direction. So maybe some benefit there. But look at these people. Oh, God. Didn't she I saw like a part of a video where Marjorie Taylor Greene was complaining about something, about the job, about having to work all year or something like that. Maybe I'll bring that up later. Before we start, this is Bernie's new video. Let me know if you recognize something. Independent Senator Bernie Sanders is preparing for a new fight within his new role as the chairman of the Senate Health Committee.
The new chairman of...
That's my voice. I had no idea this was happening. Somebody, actually in the YouTube chat, someone was like, "Oh, I heard you in the latest Bernie video." I thought they were talking about my video on Bernie from last week, I think it was. And then I saw a message on Twitter being like, "Hey, you're in Bernie's new video." I'm like, "What?" And I check his page, and that's my voice. I also appear somewhere else in this video as well. Pretty wild, I gotta say, to hear my own voice. Bernie Sanders in a Bernie Sanders video. Look, I am as objective as I possibly can be. Nobody is perfectly objective in this job or any job like this. It's impossible to be. Bernie to me is, look, I've been critical of him, of course. There are, in terms of like strategy, definitely ways to criticize Bernie Sanders. But he's He is the best politician in Washington. It's not even a debate, not even close. The record he has, the history he has, nobody can compete with him. I covered a lot of that stuff when he first ran in 2016, because a lot of these old videos were coming up, newspaper clippings from like the 1970s, videos from the 80s, the 90s, the early 2000s of Bernie basically saying and fighting for the same thing his entire career. And just nobody has that. What's happening? Are they going to do it?
Session will come to order.
I'll turn this up.
The chair appoints as members of the committee on the part of the House to escort the President of the United States into the chamber: the gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Scalise; the gentleman from Minnesota, Mr. Emmer; the gentlewoman from New York, Mrs. Stefanik; the gentleman from North Carolina, Mr. Hudson; the gentleman from Alabama, Mr. Palmer; the gentleman from Louisiana, Mr. Johnson; the gentlewoman from Oregon, Mrs. Chavez DeRemer; the gentlewoman from Virginia, Mrs. Kiggins; the gentleman from New York, Mr. Jeffries.
Okay. Yes, we know their names. That's nice. What else here? Again, this is happening at 9. McCarthy just reading names out. You don't need to. Not important. I did not watch this clip, but I clipped it. Hold up. Let me make sure this is something I can actually watch on stream, not some copyright thing. Okay, let's see what Kamala said.
As members of the committee on the part of the Senate to escort the President of the United States into the House chamber.
Okay, whatever. All procedure. Again, it's not happening yet. Quickly here. This is posted by Case Study QB. I have not seen this.
Ahead of his critical State of the Union address, President Biden seen prepping for his big moment. But he'll speak before an audience of Americans that polls show are dissatisfied with the state of our union. Like Shelley Hagan in North Carolina, selling her flower shop after 17 years.
It's tough being a business owner.
Hagan says in...
Okay, I'm already... We're talking to business owners? All right, get the fuck out of here.
The senator from West
the
Virginia,
media is just
Ms.
fucking
Capito.
Incredible.
The senator from Iowa, Ms. Ernst.
Look, I support small business. I'm independent here, obviously. This is, but the hyper focus that the media has on business over just regular people. Most people don't run a business. How about talk just regular people? They're also going through issues, but the focus is always on business leaders and this person owns this shop and they're saying this. How about just Joe Schmo at the corner? What's he saying? I want to hear from him. Is that Cinema in the Yellow? Wonderful. What a great person. Can you hear the sarcasm? We got some chats here. Yes, I'll get your super chats. Don't you worry. Nothing's happening right now, so let me grab some chats. I just don't want to miss when they go, the President of the United States, and do that whole bullshit. Stone Canuck says, David, you are the TYT of Canada, and we love you. Oh, thank you. I myself may be a stoned Canuck in about an hour, depending on how long this goes. This better not be like a Trump speech, like 2.5, 3 hours. I don't need to be, doing Braveheart or The Irishman in here. Let's just, maybe 20 minutes. That'd be nice. He comes in, 20 minutes, done. That would be fantastic. John Barlick says, who is the best blue state governor? Considering I focus a lot on national politics, it would be hard for me to pull out a blue state senator, as I'm not focused too much on state politics. But that is one I'd have to think about. Stone Canuck, new member, thank you. Koru, also a member, says, I don't imagine there will be many surprises. Yeah, I don't think there's going to be. He's going to... I think this speech will likely be maybe a little more conservative sounding because of the current makeup of Congress and because of how Joe Biden operates as your typical 90s politician.
Mr. Speaker, the Dean of the Diplomatic Corps.
Here we go. Here's the dumb shit. How many times does someone from Trump Light World boo tonight? I think it'll be 3. We'll probably get a few boos. Are we doing it? I got the White House feed going too. They haven't even started yet, so clearly they don't seem to care about where they are. Blade says, "How do you deal with being pessimistic and doomerism about USA economics and it's cutting off your chat and USA future in general?" I'm still trying to figure that out. I'll get back to you when I know the answer. It's tough. I gotta tell you, I have to admit it's tough. I just make sure I'm, in my free time, I'm not just on Twitter and absorbing news, like that I'm actually giving myself a mental break. You also have to recognize that most people aren't shitty. I know that's hard to imagine sometimes, but you look at polling, most people agree on basic things like universal health care, higher wages, higher taxes on the wealthy.
Mr. Speaker, the Chief Justice and Associate Justices of the Supreme Court.
All this stuff is so stupid. It's like, how many stages of, it's just, really this entire thing's a spectacle. This is just a speech. It's a speech. And they, gussy it up to make it some bigger deal than it actually is. It's a standard speech. Sure, it's a speech about the outlook and the goals and all this shit, but other countries don't do this. Just so you're aware, this is uniquely American. Celeste, always with the prodding. David says this every year. This is so stupid. Don't watch, bestie. This is my job. Here's how I view this. If you're gonna watch this, and a lot of you are at least interested, maybe, then personally, I would rather watch someone else watching it, so that there is. So it isn't just you listen to this boring ass shit. Like you got someone else here. Maybe I'm not gonna talk over the entire thing, but I'll chime in here and there when possible. But it can be a communal thing to sit down and it's like watching people play games or watching Twitch, watching streams. Even when they're watching things that are dumb, it can be enjoyable because you're watching it with somebody else. All a bunch of friends. Oh, you're saying hi to me? Oh, so funny. Ha ha ha. I'm Kevin McCarthy. I lie all the fucking time. I'm a piece of shit. I hate everybody. I want to make sure you die because you can't have health care. Yes, that is the first lady they were clapping for there. Why does the chat, it's like it pauses, then it just it all goes at once. Now it's working again. I don't know what's happening. Whatever. I can't control this.
Mr. Speaker, the President's Cabinet.
Oh my God. Who's next? The President's dog? Jesus Christ, just get on with it. All right, let me read some more chats. This is worse than the Grammys. Says Michael Hell. I didn't watch. Let me turn it on. I didn't. I stopped watching the Grammys when The Weeknd was complete. I mean, to be fair, I think I stopped watching it before, but I really stopped watching it for forever when The Weeknd was completely snubbed from any nominations at all. The one year he like we all, okay, the Grammys are all, it's subjective, right? Obviously, but it depends heavily on, you know, what's popular, pop music, what's good. The Weeknd's album, it was a couple of years ago, was not only fantastic, it dominated the charts. He was dominant and was not even nominated. So I was like, you know what, this is dumb. If they can't even get pop music right, then they can fuck right off. So completely stopped paying attention at that moment. I'm looking at the chat off screen here just so I can follow it properly. All them people are millionaires. Not necessarily. A lot of them are, yes. But like Maxwell Frost, I'm not sure if he's there, but he just got in Congress. He's not a millionaire. AOC's not a millionaire. A lot of these people, like, they don't, their actual salaries ain't all that much, especially, you know, considering where they live. Where a lot of the money is made is in their investments. So people like Pelosi, hundreds of millions of dollars because of the obvious knowledge they have. But like the issue isn't their salaries, it's how they use their status. Natural Phenomenon says, all this ceremony is to convey that all of this has the same gravity as war. Instead of trying to kill each other, we choose to talk to one another. Interesting. It's 9:01. They're a minute late. That means a minute longer. This speech will go than it needed to. Is cinema like Romney's date or something? I must have missed it. She's been in a Mitt Romney video like a couple years ago or something. It was weird. It was like a Christmas or a Valentine's Day thing. It was really bizarre. But no, as far as I understand, Mitt Romney has a family. Then again, he is Mormon, so they can have, I believe, multiple wives. So, I don't know. Maybe. So many old people, yes. You are correct. The encrypted afro. Many, many old people. Which isn't necessarily, you know, that isn't inherently bad. I'm sure many old people are watching right now. But if you're going to average out their view on politics and how they conduct themselves with the power they have, with their age, I'm going to guess that the vast majority of the older individuals, except for, say, Bernie Sanders, Warren on some issues, as much as it pains me to say it after what she did in 2020 and that whole run. But, you know, Sanders, Warren, there are some others that are good, that do good things. But, I don't know. A lot of the potential energy, excitement, or what is possible through politics really sits with a lot of the people that have come in 2018 and since. And they're all much younger. People like Cori Bush, Ilhan Omar, Rashida Tlaib, Maxwell Frost this year. There's someone else, I keep forgetting his name, but an individual from Texas, also solid. Hair looks great, Dave. Oh, thank you, Scott. I did nothing to it, so I really like that you like it, considering there's no effort involved. Is it happening? Did they find him?
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
Now, this whole thing. It's like WrestleMania. It's like walking down the aisle. Crowd goes wild. All it's missing are the signs. Instead of Bret the Hitman Hart, it's Joe Biden, the old fart. Okay, let's turn down the clapping. It's a little loud for me. Ric Flair walked down that aisle. Woo! That's what I want to see. That was from Think Beyond. Thank you for that Ric Flair reference. Ric Flair, man. Now there's a white-haired old man that I enjoy. Why are they acting like it's it's a graduation? This is every year. This is the thing. This is what they do. The president walks down, shakes a bunch of hands. Everyone claps. Oh my God, it's the president. We never see him. Here he is. It's all just formulaic and ridiculous. Rob Bidgood says, my sister saw Ric Flair in the Miami airport the other day. Took a picture with her phone. That's amazing. I don't think I've ever met a wrestler. Or like, randomly run into one. Not that I've met many celebrities at all. Like who? I'm trying to think. What celebrities have I met? I met The Weeknd. I randomly saw Drake, but it was a very random thing that happened. I don't know. I'm not sure who I've met. I'm sure I'm missing some people here. No, I did not see Drake on Degrassi. No, I was at a rap battle thing. This is in Toronto in like 2015, and I was in this private area because someone in the family ran that or owned the actual building. So I was in some bar that was closed off, and then he walks in. I was with some people. He takes a look at us and runs off. He did not expect people to be in the room, and he definitely did not want any interaction. So it was very random. It was really bizarre. You drove Brooks and Dunn at a bus once. You can't stand their music. I like Brooks and Dunn. Yeah, I like me some 90s country. Give me some 90s country. The new shit is all garbage, but 90s country. Garth Brooks, Brooks and Dunn, George Strait. Get out of here. That's some good shit. But man, have you heard new country music? Oh, God. It is so bad. It is so bad. New country music is terrible. Absolutely terrible. Anyway, sorry, this is happening. Mick Foley. Mick Foley is the man. All right.
Hello.
He's made it, finally. It's 9:09. That walk was like 7 minutes.
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege.
I hear Chris
distinct
Stapleton's
honor
good.
To present to you the
I don't know
President of the United States.
That makes national sense. Truly mental illness. This is truly mental illness.
Thank you. Thank you, please.
What the hell was that? Oh, I hit the applause button and didn't realize
Mr. Speaker,
why I couldn't hear the sound
Madam
button.
Vice
Anyway,
President,
sorry.
our First Lady and Second Gentleman, good to see you guys up there. Members of Congress.
What is this? Get off.
By the way, Chief Justice, I may need a court order. She gets to go to the game tomorrow, next week. I have to stay home. Got to work something out here. Members of the Cabinet, leaders of our military, Chief Justice, Associate Justice, and retired Justice of the Supreme Court.
Don't know what that was
and to
about.
you, my fellow Americans. You know, I start tonight by congratulating the 118th Congress and the new Speaker of the House, Kevin McCarthy.
Thank you. I hate you. I hate you too. Thank you. Thank you.
Speaker, I don't want to ruin your reputation, but I look forward to working with you. And I want to congratulate the new leader of the House Democrats, the first African-American minority leader in history, Hakeem Jeffries.
How's the volume, guys? Good, or should I put it louder? I can always tweak it. Let me know.
He won in spite of the fact I campaigned for him. Congratulations to the longest-serving leader in the history of the United States Senate, Mitch McConnell. Where are you, Mitch? And congratulations to Chuck Schumer, another, another term as Senate Minority Leader. I think you. Only this time you have a slightly bigger majority, Mr. Leader. You're the majority leader. About that much bigger? Yeah. Well, I tell you what. I want to give special recognition to someone who I think is going to be considered the greatest speaker in the history of the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi.
Evan says I got autographs from the rockers in the 80s.
The story of America is a story of progress and resilience, of always moving forward, of never, ever giving up. It's a story unique among all nations. We're the only country that has emerged from every crisis we've ever entered stronger than we got into it. Look, folks,
Why do they
that's
do
what we're
this?
doing again.
No, that's not true.
2
But
years
whatever.
ago, the economy was reeling. I stand here tonight after we've created, with the help of many people in this room, 12 million new jobs. More jobs created in 2 years than any president's created in 4 years because of you all, because of the American people. years ago, COVID had shut down, our businesses were closed, our schools were robbed of so much, and today, COVID no longer controls our lives. And 2 years ago, democracy faced its greatest threat since the Civil War, and today, though bruised, our democracy remains unbowed and unbroken. As we gather here tonight, we're writing the next chapter in the great American story, a story of progress and resilience. When world leaders ask me to define America, and they do, believe it or not, I say I can define it in one word, and I mean this: possibilities. We don't think anything is beyond our capacity. Everything is a possibility. You know, we're often told that Democrats and Republicans can't work together. But over the past 2 years, we've proved the cynics and naysayers wrong. Yes, we disagreed plenty. And yes, there were times when Democrats went alone. But time and again, Democrats and Republicans came together to defend a stronger and safer Europe. You came together to pass once in a generation infrastructure law, building bridges connecting our nation and our people. We came together to pass the most significant law ever, helping victims exposed to toxic burn pits. And in fact,
after the GOP was shamed into it by Jon Stewart, like that. I get the politics behind pretending that, oh, we're all good friends, but that doesn't, I don't think that ultimately helps him. But
in fact,
whatever.
I signed over 300 bipartisan pieces of legislation since becoming president, from reauthorizing the Violence Against Women Act, the Electoral Count Reform Act, the Respect for Marriage Act that protects the right to marry the person you love. And to my Republican friends, if we could work together the last Congress, there's no reason we can't work together and find consensus on important things in this Congress as well. I think folks, you all are as formed as I am, but I think the people sent us a clear message. Fighting for the sake of fighting, power for the sake of power, conflict for the sake of conflict gets us nowhere. That's always been my vision of our country, and I know it's many of yours. To restore the soul of this nation, to rebuild the backbone of America, America's middle class, and to unite the country. We've been sent here to finish the job, in my view. For decades, the middle class has been hollowed out in more than, and not no one administration, but for a long time. Too many good-paying manufacturing jobs moved overseas. Factories closed down. Once thriving cities and towns that many of you represent became shadows of what they used to be. And along the way, something else we lost: pride, our sense of self-worth. I ran for president to fundamentally change things, to make sure our economy works for everyone, so we can all feel that pride in what we do. To build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down. Because when the middle class does well, the poor have a ladder up, and the wealthy still do very well. We all do well.
Who fucking cared that the wealthy do well? How was that? Is Bernie the only guy wearing a fucking mask?
A lot of you always kid me for always quoting my dad, but my dad used to say, Joey, a job's about a lot more than a paycheck. He really would say this. It's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's about being able to look your kid in the eye and say, honey, it's going to be okay, and mean it. Well, folks, so let's look at the results. We're not finished yet by any stretch of the imagination, but unemployment rate is at 3.4%, a 50-year low. A near record unemployment. Near record unemployment for Black and Hispanic workers. We've already created, your help, 800,000 good-paying manufacturing jobs, the fastest growth in 40 years. And where is it written? Where is it written that America can't lead the world in manufacturing? And I don't know where that's written. For too many decades, we imported projects and exported jobs. Now, thanks to what you've all done, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs.
It is true that some manufacturing jobs have come back.
Inflation has been a global problem because the pandemic disrupted our supply chains, and Putin's unfair and brutal war in Ukraine disrupted energy supplies as well as food supplies, blocking all that grain in Ukraine. But we're better positioned than any country on earth right now. But we have more to do. But here at home, inflation is coming down. Here at home, gas prices are down $1.50 from their peak. Food inflation is coming down, not fast enough, but coming down. Inflation has fallen every month for the last 6 months, while take-home pay has gone up. Additionally, over the last 2 years, a record 10 million Americans applied to start new businesses. 10 million. And by the way, every time someone starts a small business is an act of hope. And Madam Vice President, I want to thank you for leading that effort to ensure that small businesses have access to capital and the historic laws we enacted that are going to just come into being. Standing here last year, I shared with you a story of American genius and possibilities. Semiconductors, small computer chips the size of a fingerprint that power everything from cell phones to automobiles and so much more. These chips were invented in America. Let's get that straight. They were invented in America. We used to make 40% of the world's chips. In the last several decades, we lost our edge. We're down to only producing 10%. We all saw what happened during the pandemic when chip factories shut down overseas. Today's automobiles need 3,000 chips, each of those automobiles. But American automobiles couldn't make enough cars because there weren't enough chips. Car prices went up, people got laid off, so did everything from refrigerators to cell phones. We can never let that happen again. That's why we came together to pass the Bipartisan Chips and Science Act.
So I covered that at the time. There are some issues with it in terms of lack of
I know I've been criticized for saying this, but
regulation,
I'm
how
not changing my
corporations
view.
will use the money. But
we're going to make sure the supply chain for America begins in America. The supply chain begins in America. We've already created 800,000 new manufacturing jobs without this law, before the law kicks in. With this new law, we're going to create hundreds of thousands of new jobs across the country. And I mean all across the country, throughout not just the coast, but through the middle of the country as well. That's going to come from companies that have announced more than $300 billion in investment in American manufacturing over the next few years. Outside of Columbus, Ohio, Intel is building semiconductor factories on 1,000 acres, literally a field of dreams. It's going to create 10,000 jobs, that one investment, 7,000 construction jobs, 3,000 jobs in those factories once they're finished. They call them factories. Jobs paying an average of $130,000 a year, and many do not require a college degree. Jobs. Because we work together, these jobs where people don't have to leave home to search for opportunity. And it's just getting started. Think about the new homes, the small businesses, the medium-sized businesses. So much more that's going to be needed to support those 3,000 permanent jobs and the factories that are going to be built. Talk to mayors and governors, Democrats and Republicans, and they'll tell you what this means for their communities. We're seeing these field of dreams transform to the heartland. But to maintain the strongest economy in the world, we need the best infrastructure in the world. And folks, as you all know, we used to be #1 in the world in infrastructure. We've sunk to 13th in the world. The United States of America, 13th in the world in infrastructure, modern infrastructure. But now we're coming back.
Now do health
We
care.
came together and passed the bipartisan infrastructure law, the largest investment in infrastructure since President Eisenhower's interstate highway system. And folks, already we've funded over 20,000 projects, including major airports from Boston to Atlanta to Portland. Projects that are going to put thousands of people to work rebuilding our highways, our bridges, our railroads, our tunnels, ports, airports, clean water, high-speed internet, all across America. Urban, rural, tribal. And folks, we're just getting started. We're just getting started.
The issue with that bill is the level of
And I mean it sincerely.
privatization that is allowed within
I want to
the
thank
infrastructure.
my Republican friends who voted for the law, and my
infrastructure
Republican
bill.
friends who voted against it as well. But I still get asked to fund the projects in those districts as well. But don't worry, I promised I'd be a president for all Americans. We'll fund these projects, and I'll see you at the groundbreaking. Look, this law will further unite all of America. Projects like Brent Spence Bridge in Kentucky over the Ohio River, built 60 years ago, badly needed repairs, one of the nation's most congested freight routes, carrying $2 billion worth of freight every single day across the Ohio River. And folks, I've been talking about fixing it for decades, but we're really finally going to get it done. I went there last month with Democrats and Republicans and from both states to deliver a commitment of $1.6 billion for this project.
You're right, random dude. Fiat currency. They could just print it.
I met a young woman named Sarah who's here tonight. I don't know where Sarah is. Is she up in the box? I don't know. Sarah, how are you? Well, Sarah, for 30 years, I learned, she told me she'd been a proud member of the Iron Workers Local 44, known as the Cowboys in the Sky. The folks who built Cincinnati's skyline. Sarah said she can't wait to be 10 stories above the Ohio River building that new bridge. God bless her. That's pride. And that's what we're also building. We're building back pride. Also replacing poisonous lead pipes that go into 10 million homes in America. 400,000 school and child care centers. So every child in America can drink the water instead of having permanent damage to their brain. Look, we're making sure.
McCarthy clapped for that one.
We're making sure.
He's got to clap for clean water.
Every community in America has access to affordable high-speed internet. No parent should have to drive by McDonald's parking lot to help them do their homework online with their kids, which many thousands were doing across the country. And when we do these projects, and again I get criticized for this, but I make no excuses for it, we're going to buy American. We're going to buy America. Folks,
it is crazy that things have to be completely destroyed for it to actually be addressed, and it isn't even being addressed in a comprehensive
Buy
way.
America has been the law since 1933, but for too long, past administrations, Democrat and Republican, have not anymore. Tonight, I'm announcing new standards that require all construction materials used in federal infrastructure projects to be made in America. Made in America. I mean it.
How about Canada?
Lumber, glass, drywall, fiber optic cable. And on my watch, American roads, bridges, and American highways are going to be made with American products as well. Folks, my economic plan is about investing in places and people that have been forgotten. So many of you listening to me tonight, I know you feel it. So many of you felt like you've just simply been forgotten. Amid the economic upheaval of the past 4 decades, too many people have been left behind and treated like they're invisible. Maybe that's you watching from home. Remember the jobs that went away. You remember them, don't you? The folks at home remember them. You wonder whether the path even exists anymore for your children to get ahead without having to move away. Well, that's why I get that. That's why we're building an economy where no one's left behind. Jobs are coming back. Pride is coming back because choices we made in the last several years. You know, this is, in my view, a blue-collar blueprint to rebuild America and make a real difference in your lives at home. For example, too many of you lay in bed at night like my dad did, staring at the ceiling, wondering what in God's name happens if your spouse gets cancer, or your child gets deadly ill, or something happens to you. What are you going to have? You get money to pay for those medical bills? Or are you going to have to sell the house or try to get a second mortgage on it?
That's why I support Medicare for all.
I get it. With the Inflation Reduction Act that I signed into law, we're taking on powerful interests to bring health care costs down so you can sleep better at night with more security. You know, we pay more for prescription drugs than any nation in the world. Let me say it again. We pay more for prescription drugs than any major nation on earth. For example, 1 in 10 Americans has diabetes. Many of you in this chamber do, and in the audience. But every day, millions need insulin to control their diabetes so they can literally stay alive.
Don't show Josh Hawley,
Insulin's
please.
been around for over 100 years. The guy who invented it didn't even patent it because he wanted it to be available for everyone. It cost the drug companies roughly $10 a vial to make that insulin. Packaging and all, you may get up to $13. But Big Pharma has been unfairly charging people hundreds of dollars, $400 to $500 a month, making record profits. Not anymore. Not anymore.
Not anymore for seniors on Medicare. Finish the sentence. I mean, to be fair, the right blocked it completely for all health care.
So many things that we did are only now coming to fruition. We said we were doing this, and we said we passed the law to do it, but people didn't know because the law didn't take effect until January 1 of this year. We capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors on Medicare.
Is he going to mention how they tried to do more?
People are just finding out.
Because he should.
I'm sure you're getting the same calls I'm getting. Look, there are millions of other Americans who do not or are not on Medicare, including 200,000 young people with type 1 diabetes and need this insulin to stay alive. Let's finish the job this time. Let's cap the cost of insulin for everybody at $35.
Why not mention how it was blocked? Like, there's nothing wrong with doing politics here. Mention how the Republican Party blocked it for everybody.
And Big Pharma's still going to do very well, I promise you all. I promise you they're going to do very well. This law also caps and won't even go into effect until 2025. It costs out-of-pocket drug costs for seniors on Medicare at a maximum of $2,000 a year. You don't have to pay more than $2,000 a year, no matter how much your drug costs are. Because you know why? You all know it. Many of you, like many in my family, have cancer. You know the drugs can range from $10,000, $11,000, $14,000, $15,000 for the cancer drugs. And if drug prices rise faster than inflation, drug companies are going to have to pay Medicare back the difference. We're finally giving Medicare the power to negotiate drug prices. Bringing down prescription drug costs doesn't just save seniors money. It cuts the federal deficit by billions of dollars, by hundreds of billions of dollars. Because these prescription drugs are drugs purchased by Medicare to keep their commitment to the seniors. Well, guess what? Instead of paying $400 or $500 a month, you're paying $15. That's a lot of savings for the federal government. And by the way, why wouldn't we want that? Now, some members here are threatening, and I know it's not an official party position, so I'm going to exaggerate, but threatening to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act. As my coach, that's okay, that's fair. As my football coach used to say, lots of luck in your senior year. Make no mistake, if you try anything to raise the cost of prescription drugs, I will veto it.
Good. Good. Do some politics. Good. Look at this fucking bitch ass. Ted Cruz is the most disgusting individual in Congress.
Well,
here's a few.
History. A record 16 million people are enrolled in the Affordable Care Act. And thanks to the law I signed last year, saving millions are saving $800 a year on their premiums. And by the way, that law was written and the benefit expires in 2025. So my plea to some of you, at least in this audience, let's finish the job and make these savings permanent. Expand coverage of Medicaid.
What the fuck is going on?
Look.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
The Inflation Reduction Act is also the most significant investment ever in climate change. Ever. Lowering utility bills, creating American jobs, leading the world to a clean energy future. I visited the devastating aftermath of record floods, droughts, storms, and wildfires from Arizona to Mexico to all the way up to the Canadian border. More timber has been burned, that I've observed from helicopters, than the entire state of Missouri. And we don't have global warming? Not a problem. In addition to emergency recovery, from Puerto Rico to Florida to Idaho, we're rebuilding for the long term. New electric grids that are able to weather major storms and not prevent those forest fires. Roads and water systems withstand the next big flood. Clean energy to cut pollution and create jobs in communities often left behind. We're going to build 500,000 electric vehicle charging stations installed across the country by tens of thousands of IBEW workers. And we're helping families save more than $1,000 a year with tax credits to purchase electric vehicles and efficient appliances, energy-efficient appliances. Historic conservation efforts to be responsible stewards of our land. Let's face reality. The climate crisis doesn't care if you're in a red or blue state. It's an existential threat. We have an obligation, not to ourselves, but to our children and grandchildren, to confront it. I'm proud of how America, at last, is stepping up to the challenge. We're still going to need oil and gas for a while. But guess what? No, we do. But there's so much more to do. We got to finish the job. And we pay for these investments in our future by finally making the wealthiest and biggest corporations begin to pay their fair share.
McCarthy? Not going to clap for that? Interesting. So he's on the side of corporations, you say, as are all these people, of course.
I'm a capitalist, but pay your fair share. I think a lot of you at home agree with me and many people that you know. The tax system is not fair. It is not fair.
If only some guy could change it. If only there was someone in this room who could do something about it.
The idea that in 2020, 55 of the largest corporations in America, the Fortune 500, made $40 billion in profits and paid zero in federal taxes? Zero? Folks, it's simply not fair. But now, because of the law I signed, billion-dollar companies have to pay a minimum of 15%. God love them. 15%. That's less than a nurse pays.
This is one of Elizabeth Warren.
let me be crystal clear. I said at the very beginning.
It's nowhere
under my
near
plan, as long as
necessary,
I'm president, nobody
it's nowhere near
earning
enough, I
less
should
than
say.
$400,000 will pay an additional
Especially-
penny in taxes. Nobody, not one penny.
Obviously, I can't talk too
Well,
much
let's
because
finish
he's
the
talking here,
job.
but
There's more to do.
there shouldn't be a single billionaire in
Every word
existence of someone
works,
sleeping
not
on the
just
street.
wealth.
It's just insane.
Pass my proposal for the billionaire minimum tax. You know, there's 1,000 billionaires in America. It's up from about 600 in the beginning of the term. But no billionaire should be paying a lower tax rate than a school teacher or firefighter. I mean it. Think about it.
Is the right all sitting down?
Look,
Show Republicans, God
I
damn
know
it.
you aren't enthusiastic about that, but think about it. Think about it.
At least pretend to
Have you
care.
noticed Big Oil just reported its profits, record profits? Last year they made $200 billion in the midst of a global energy crisis. I think it's outrageous. Why? They invested too little of that profit in
Is he alive? Has he blinked? Oh, there we go.
And when I talk to a couple of them, they say, we're afraid you're going to shut down all the oil wells, all the oil refineries anyway, so why should we invest in them? I said, we're going to need oil for at least another decade. And that's going to exceed and beyond that. We're going to need it. Production. If they had, in fact, invested in the production to keep gas prices down, instead, they used the record profits to buy back their own stock, rewarding their CEOs and shareholders. Corporations ought to do the right thing. That's why I propose we quadruple the tax on corporate stock buybacks and encourage long-term investments.
Corporate stock buybacks used to not even
They'll
exist.
still make considerable profit.
Go back to outlawing them completely.
Let's finish the job and close the loophole to allow very wealthy to avoid paying their taxes. Instead of cutting the number of audits for wealthy taxpayers, I just signed a law to reduce the deficit by $114 billion by cracking down on wealthy tax cheats. That's being fiscally responsible. In the last 2 years, my administration has cut the deficit by more than $1.7 trillion, the largest deficit reduction in American history. Under the previous administration, the American deficit went up 4 years in a row. Because those record deficits, no president added more to the national debt in any 4 years than my predecessor. Nearly 25% of the entire national debt that took over 200 years to accumulate was added by just one administration alone, the last one. They're the facts. Check it out. Check it out. How did Congress respond to that debt? They did the right thing. They lifted the debt ceiling 3 times without preconditions or crisis. They paid American bills to prevent an economic disaster in the country. So tonight I'm asking the Congress to follow suit. Let's commit here tonight to the full faith and credit of the United States of America will never, ever be questioned. So some of my Republican friends want to take the economy hostage. I get it, unless I agree to their economic plans. All of you at home should know what those plans are. Instead of making the wealthy pay their fair share, some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority.
He's not lying.
Let me give you.
You fucking
anybody who
freaks.
doubts it,
He's
contact
not
my
lying.
office. I'll give you a copy. I'll give you a copy of the proposal. That means Congress doesn't vote. Well, I'm glad to see you. No, I tell you, I enjoy conversion. You know, it means if Congress doesn't keep the programs the way they are, they'd go away. Other Republicans say, I'm not saying it's a majority of you. I don't even think it's even a
You should say it's a
significant-
majority. Fuck them.
But it's being proposed by individuals. I'm not politely not naming them, but it's being proposed by some of you. Look,
What the fuck is going on here?
the idea is that
This is
we're
not
gonna
new.
be- we're not going to be moved into.
They've been
being
calling to
threatened
cut this shit
default
forever,
on the
like-
debt if we don't respond.
Why is anyone surprised?
Folks,
Look at this. Oh my God. He's one of the worst. Mike Lee. Give me a fucking break.
So, folks, as we all apparently agree, Social Security and Medicare is off the books now, right? They're not to be sponsored. All right.
Yeah, exactly. Make them stand for that shit.
We got unanimity.
If he's lying, then you all agree.
Social Security and Medicare are a lifeline for millions of seniors. Americans have to pay into them from the very first paycheck they started. So tonight, let's all agree, and we apparently are, let's stand up for seniors.
They're so full of shit.
Stand up and show them.
You know what?
We'll
No, I changed my mind. Don't give them that opportunity
Those benefits
to
belong
pretend
the
they
American
actually give
people.
a
They
shit.
earned it. And if anyone tries to cut Social Security, which apparently no one's going to do, and if anyone tries to cut Medicare, I'll stop them. I'll veto it. And look, I'm not going to allow them to be taken away. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. But apparently it's not going to be a problem. Next month, when I offer my fiscal plan, I ask my Republican friends to lay down their plan as well. I really mean it. Let's sit down together and discuss our mutual plans together. Let's do that.
It's good he's like,
Tell you,
it's good he's drawing this line in the
plan I'm
sand
going
and
to show you
doing
is
this
going to cut the
publicly.
deficit by another $2 trillion. And it won't cut a single bit of Medicare or Social Security. In fact, we're going to extend the Medicare Trust Fund at least 2 decades, because that's going to be the next argument. How do we keep it solvent, right? Well, we'll not raise tax on anyone making under 400 grand, but we'll pay for it the way we talked about tonight, by making sure that the wealthy and big corporations pay their fair share. Look. Here's the deal.
And look who's not clapping.
They aren't just taking advantage of the tax code. They're taking advantage of you, the American consumer. Here's my message to all of you out there. I have your back. We're already preventing Americans from receiving surprise medical bills, stopping $1 billion surprise bills per month so far. We're protecting seniors' life savings by cracking down on nursing homes that commit fraud, endanger patient safety, prescribe drugs that are not needed. Millions of Americans can now save thousands of dollars because they can finally get a hearing aid over the counter without a prescription. Look, capitalism without competition is not capitalism. It's extortion. It's exploitation. Last year, I cracked down with the help of many of you on
it is
foreign
anyways,
shipping
but whatever.
companies that were making you pay higher prices for every good coming into the country. I signed a bipartisan bill that cut shipping costs by 90%, helping American farmers, businessmen, and consumers. Let's finish the job. Pass the bipartisan legislation to strengthen antitrust enforcement and prevent big online platforms from giving their own products an unfair advantage.
Amazon, they're looking at you.
My administration is also taking on junk fees, those hidden surcharges too many companies use to make you pay more. For example, we're making airlines show you the full ticket price up front, refund your money if your flight is canceled or delayed. We've reduced exorbitant bank overdrafts by saving consumers more than $1 billion a year. We're cutting credit card late fees by 75%, from $30 to $8. Look, junk fees may not matter to the very wealthy, but they matter to most other folks in homes like the one I grew up in, like many of you did. They add up to hundreds of dollars a month. They make it harder for you to pay your bills or afford that family trip. I know how unfair it feels when a company overcharges you and gets away with it. Not anymore. We've written a bill to stop it all. It's called the Junk Fee Prevention Act. We're going to ban surprise resort fees that hotels charge on your bill. Those fees can cost you up to $90 a night at hotels that aren't even resorts. The idea that cable, internet, and cell phone companies can charge you $200 or more if you decide to switch to another provider. Give me a break. We can stop service fees on tickets to concerts and sporting events and make companies disclose all the fees up front. And we'll prohibit airlines from charging $50 round trip for a family just to be able to sit together. Baggage fees are bad enough. Airlines can't treat your child like a piece of baggage. Americans are tired of being. We're tired of being played for suckers. So pass the Junk-Free Prevention Act so companies stop ripping us off.
The optics on this is
For too
really good.
long, workers have been getting stiffed, but not anymore. We're beginning to restore the dignity of work. For example, I should have known this, but I didn't until 2 years ago. 30 million workers have to sign non-compete agreements for the jobs they take. 30 million. So a cashier at a burger place can't walk across town and take the same job at another burger place and make a few bucks more. It just changed. But they just changed it because we exposed it. That was part of the deal, guys. Look it up.
That's
But
true.
not anymore.
I covered this.
We're banning those agreements so companies have to compete for workers and pay them what they're worth.
It's like a stunningly good move by Joe Biden. Did not expect him.
And I
Like,
must tell
he has
you,
some really good hires, and those few good hires are doing really good
this is
things.
bound to get a response from my friends on my left but the right. I'm so sick and tired of companies breaking the law by preventing workers from organizing. Pass the PRO Act, because businesses have a right, workers have a right to form a union.
I mean, you should have passed it when you had the
Guarantee
majority.
all workers have a living wage. Let's make sure working parents can afford to raise a family with sick days, paid family medical leave, affordable child care. That's going to enable millions of more people to go and stay at work. And let's restore the full child tax credit, which gave tens of millions of parents some breathing room and cut child poverty in half to the lowest level in history. And by the way, when we do all these things, we increase productivity. We increase economic growth. So let's finish the job and get more families access to affordable, quality housing. Let's get seniors who want to stay in their homes the care they need to do so. Let's give more breathing room to millions of family caregivers looking after their loved ones. Pass my plan so we get seniors and people with disabilities the home care and services they need. And support the workers who are doing God's work. These plans are fully paid for, and we can afford to do them. Restoring the dignity of work means making education an affordable ticket to the middle class. You know, when we made public education, 12 years of it universal in the last century, we made the best educated, best paid, we became the best educated, best paid nation in the world. But the rest of the world's caught up. It's caught up. Jill, my wife, who teaches full time, has an expression. I hope I get it right, kid. Any nation that out-educates us is going to out-compete us. Any nation that out-educates is going to out-compete us. Folks, we all know 12 years of education is not enough to win the economic competition of the 21st century. We want to have the best educated workforce. Let's finish the job by providing access to preschool for 3 and 4 years old. Studies show that children who go to preschool are nearly 50% more likely to finish high school and go on to earn a 2 or 4 year degree, no matter their background they came from.
As I told you, this is stuff that he didn't pass last time that he would mention. That's what he's doing now. And a lot of the stuff didn't pass because of Manchin and Sinema. And he could have put more pressure on him. I'm sure he could have put more pressure on him.
We're making progress by reducing student debt, increasing Pell Grants.
Was Sinema actually standing and clapping there?
Families. Let's finish the job and connect students to career opportunities starting in high school. Provide access to 2 years of community college, the best career training in America, in addition to being a pathway to a 4-year degree. Let's offer every American a path to a good career, whether they go to college or not. And folks,
I agree, but you can't do that
folks,
now.
in the midst of the COVID crisis, when schools were closed and we were shutting down everything, let's recognize how far we came in the fight against the pandemic itself. While the virus is not gone, thanks to the resilience of the American people and the ingenuity of medicine, we've broken the COVID grip on us. COVID deaths are down by 90%. We've saved millions of lives and opened up our country. We opened our country back up, and soon we'll end the public health emergency. But that's called a public health emergency. But we'll remember the toll and pain that's never going to go away. More than 1 million Americans lost their lives to COVID. 1 million. Families grieving, children orphaned, empty chairs at the dining room table constantly reminding you that she used to sit there.
And only Bernie appears to still be taken seriously.
Them. We remain vigilant. We still need to monitor dozens of variants and support new vaccines and treatments. So Congress needs to fund these efforts and keep America safe. And as we emerge from this crisis stronger, we're also got to double down on prosecuting criminals who stole relief money meant to keep workers and small businesses afloat. Before I came to office, you remember,
Hello, serfs.
during that campaign, the big
Hello,
issue
Lance.
was about inspector generals who would protect taxpayers' dollars who were sidelined. They were fired. Many people said we don't need them. And fraud became rampant. Last year, I told you the watchdogs are back. Since then, we've recovered billions of taxpayers' dollars. Now let's triple the anti-fraud strike force going after these criminals, double the statute of limitations on these crimes, and crack down on identity fraud by criminal syndicates stealing billions of dollars from the American people. And the data shows that for every dollar we put into fighting fraud, the taxpayers get back at least 10 times as much. It matters. It matters. Look, COVID left its scars, like the spike in violent crime in 2020, the first year of the pandemic. We have an obligation to make sure all people are safe. Public safety depends on public trust, as all of us know. But too often that trust is violated. Joining us tonight are the parents of Tyree Nichols. Welcome.
Okay, maybe he will address this issue.
We had to bury Tyree last week. As many of you personally know, there's no words to describe the heartache or grief of losing a child. But imagine if you lost that child at the hands of the law. Imagine having to worry whether your son or daughter came home from walking down the street, or playing in the park, or just driving a car. Most of us in here have never had to have the talk that brown and black parents have had to have with their children. Bo, Hunter, Ashley, my children, I never had to have the talk with them. I never had to tell them if a police officer pulls you over, turn your interior lights on right away. Don't reach for your license. Keep your hands on the steering wheel. Imagine having to worry like that every single time your kid got in a car. Here's what Tyree's mother shared with me when I spoke to her. When I asked her how she finds the courage to carry on and speak out. With the faith of God, she said her son was, quote, a beautiful soul, and something good will come of this. Imagine how much courage and character that takes. It's up to us, to all of us. We all want the same thing. Neighborhoods free of violence. Law enforcement who earns the community's trust. Just as every cop, when they pin on that badge in the morning, has a right to be able to go home at night, so does everybody else out there. Our children have a right to come home safely. Equal protection under the law is a covenant we have with each other in America. We know police officers put their lives on the line every single night and day. And we know we ask them in many cases to do too much, to be counselors, social workers, psychologists, responding to drug overdoses, mental health crises, and so much more. In one sense, we ask much too much of them. I know most cops and their families are good, decent, honorable people, the vast majority. But they risk their lives every time they put that shield on. But what happened to Tyree in Memphis happens too often. We have to do better. Give law enforcement the real training they need. Hold them to higher standards. Help them succeed in keeping us safe. We also need more first responders and professionals to address the growing mental health, substance abuse challenges. More resources to reduce violent crime and gun crime. More community intervention programs. More investment in housing, education, and job training. All this can help prevent violence in the first place. And when police officers or police departments violate the public trust, they must be held accountable.
It's a cultural issue. Like I can't talk enough about this here. We've been talking about Jesus. This is not addressing the problem.
Of victims, civil rights groups, and law enforcement, I signed an executive order for all federal officers, banning chokeholds, restricting no-knock warrants, and other key elements of the George Floyd Act. Let's commit ourselves to make the words of Tyler's mom true. Something good must come from this. Something good. And all of us, folks, it's difficult.
She angry at
simple.
the GOP?
All of us in this chamber, we need to rise to this moment. We can't turn away. Let's do what we know in our hearts that we need to do.
Memberships.
Let's come together to finish the job on police reform. Do something. Do something. That was the plea of parents who lost their children in Uvalde. I met with every one of them. Do something about gun violence. Thank God. Thank God we did. Passing the most sweeping gun safety law in 3 decades.
Which is not saying much,
That
but
includes things like that the majority of responsible gun owners already support. Enhanced background
the bar
checks
is so
18 to
low,
21
man.
years old. Red flag laws, keeping guns out of the hands of people who are a danger to themselves and others. But we know our work is not done. Joining us tonight is Brandon Say, a 26-year-old hero. Brandon put his college dreams on hold to be at his mom's side. His mom's side when she was dying from cancer. And Brandon now works at the dance studio started by his grandparents. And 2 weeks ago, during the Lunar New Year celebrations, he heard the studio door close, and he saw a man standing there pointing a semi-automatic pistol at him. He thought he was going to die, but he thought about the people inside. And in that instant, he found the courage to act and wrestled a semi-automatic pistol away from the gunman who had already killed 11 people in another dance studio. 11. He saved lives. It's time we do the same. Ban assault weapons now. Ban them now. Once and for all.
I
led the fight to do
saw
that
Bono.
in 1994. In 10 years, that ban was law and mass shootings went down. After we let it expire in the Republican administration, mass shootings tripled. Let's finish the job and ban these assault weapons. And let's also come together on immigration. Make it a bipartisan issue once again. We now have a record number of personnel working to secure the border, arresting 8,000 human smugglers, seizing over 23,000 pounds of fentanyl in just the last several months. We've launched a new border plan last month.
They're mostly Americans, by the
Unlawful
way, in case you're
migration from
curious.
Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela has come down 97% as a consequence of that. But American border problems won't be fixed until Congress acts. If we don't pass my comprehensive immigration reform, at least pass my plan to provide the equipment and officers to secure the border.
Vast majority of smugglers are Americans.
And a pathway to citizenship for dreamers, those on temporary status, farm workers, essential workers. Here in the People's House, it's our duty to protect all the people's rights and freedoms. Congress must restore the right and the Congress must restore the right that was taken away in Roe v. Wade and protect Roe v. Wade. Give every woman a consular right. The Vice President and I are doing everything to protect access to reproductive health care and safeguard patient safety. But already more than a dozen states are enforcing extreme abortion bans. Make no mistake about it. If Congress passes a national ban, I will veto it. But let's also pass the Bipartisan Equality Act to ensure LGBTQ Americans, especially transgender young people, can live with safety and dignity. Our strength.
She's such an actress. Oh my God, sit down. Look at this face. She's so fucking fake. I can't even take it. She's so fake. The one issue that she may care about, she's still fake as shit.
I spoke in this chamber 1 year ago,
one of the
just days after
up
Vladimir
there with Ted
Putin
Cruz.
unleashed his brutal attack against Ukraine. A murderous assault, evoking images of death and destruction Europe suffered in World War II. Putin's invasion has been a test for the ages, a test for America, a test for the world. Would we stand for the most basic of principles? Would we stand for sovereignty? Would we stand for the right of people to live free of tyranny? Would we stand for the defense of democracy? For such defense matters to us because it keeps peace and prevents open season on would-be aggressors and threatens our prosperity. 1 year later, we know the answer. Yes, we would, and we did. We did. And together, we did what America always does at our best. We led. We united NATO. We built a global coalition. We stood against Putin's aggression. We stood with the Ukrainian people. Tonight, we're once again joined by Ukraine's ambassador to the United States. She represents not just her nation, but the courage of her people. Our ambassador is here, we're united in our support of your country. Will you stand so we can all take a look at you? Thank you. Because we're going to stand with you as long as it takes. Our nation's working for more freedom, more dignity, more peace, not just in Europe, but everywhere. Before I came to office, the story was about how the People's Republic of China was increasing its power and America was failing in the world. Not anymore. We made clear, and I made clear in my personal conversations, which have been many, with President Xi, that we seek competition, not conflict. But I will make no apologies that we're investing to make America stronger, investing in American innovation and industries that will define the future that China intends to be dominating, investing in our alliances and working with our allies to protect advanced technologies so they will not be used against us, modernizing our military to safeguard stability and deter aggression. Today, we're in the strongest position in decades to compete with China or anyone else in the world. Anyone else in the world. And I'm committed. I'm committed to work with China where we can advance American interests and benefit the world. But make no mistake about it. As we made clear last week, if China threatens our sovereignty, we will act to protect our country, and we did. Look, let's be clear. Winning the competition should unite all of us. We face serious challenges across the world. But in the past 2 years, democracies have become stronger, not weaker. Autocracy has grown weaker, not stronger. Name me a world leader who changed places with Xi Jinping. Name me one. Name me one. America's rallying the world to meet those challenges, from climate to global health, to food insecurity, to terrorism, to territorial aggression. Allies are stepping up, spending more, and doing more. Look, the bridges we're forming between partners.
I'm not even sure what his
in the Pacific and those in
question.
the Atlantic.
What was his question?
And those who bet against America are learning how wrong they are. It's never, ever been a good bet to bet against America. Never.
Name me a leader that's replaced. Was replaced by Xi Jinping. Like, I don't even know what his question was. But he was really angry about it.
Well, when I came to office, most assured that bipartisanship assumed was impossible, but never believed it. That's why a year ago I offered a unity agenda to the nation as I stood here. We made real progress together. We passed a law making it easy for doctors to prescribe effective treatments for opioid addiction. We passed the gun safety law, making historic investments in mental health. We launched the ARPA-H drive for breakthrough in the fights against cancer, Alzheimer's, and diabetes, and so much more. We passed the Heath Robinson PACT Act, named after the late Iraq War veteran whose story about exposure to toxic burn kits I shared here last year. I understand something about those burn pits, but there's so much more to do. We can do it together. Joining us tonight is a father named Doug from Newton, New Hampshire. He wrote Jill, my wife, a letter, and me as well, about his courageous daughter, Courtney. A contagious laugh, his sister's best friend, her sister's best friend. He shared a story all too familiar to millions of Americans and many of you in the audience. Courtney discovered pills in high school. It spiraled into addiction and eventually death from a fentanyl overdose. She was just 20 years old. Describing the last 8 years without her, Doug said, "There's no worse pain." Yet their family has turned pain to purpose, working to end the stigma and change laws. He told us he wants to start a journey toward American recovery. Doug, we're with you. Fentanyl is killing more than 70,000 Americans a year.
Oh my God, the border is the fucking problem, morons.
So let's launch a major surge to stop fentanyl production and the sale and trafficking, with more drug detection machines, inspection cargo, stop pills and powder at the border. Working with couriers like FedEx to inspect more packages for drugs. Strong penalties to crack down on fentanyl trafficking. Second, let's do more on mental health, especially for our children. When millions of young people are struggling with bullying, violence,
Decriminalization,
trauma,
regulation.
we give them greater access to mental health care at their schools. We must finally hold social media companies accountable for experimenting they're doing running children for profit. It's time to pass bipartisan legislation to stop big tech from collecting personal data on our kids and teenagers online, ban targeted advertising to children, and impose stricter limits on the personal data that companies collect on all of us. Third, let's do more to keep this nation's one truly sacred obligation to equip those we send into harm's way and care for them and their families when they come home. Job training, job placement for veterans and their spouses as they come to return to civilian life. Helping veterans afford the rent, because no one should be homeless in America, especially someone who served the country. Dennis McDonough is here of the VA. We had a first real discussion when I asked him to take the job. I'm glad he did. We were losing up to 25 veterans a day on suicide. Now we're losing 17 a day to the silent scourge of suicide. 17 veterans a day are committing suicide. More than all the people being killed in the wars. Folks, VA is doing everything it can, including expanding mental health screening, proven programs that recruits veterans to help other veterans understand what they're going through, get them the help they need. We got to do more. And fourth, last year, Jill and I reignited the cancer moonshot that I was able to start with President Obama asked me to lead our administration on this issue. Our goal is to cut the cancer death rates at least by 50% in the next 25 years. Turn more cancers from death sentences to treatable diseases. Provide more support for patients and their families. It's personal to so many of us in this audience. Joining us are Morris and Candice, an Irishman and the daughter of immigrants from Panama. They met and fell in love in New York City and got married in the same chapel Jill and I got married in New York City. Kindred spirits. He wrote us a letter about his little daughter, Ava, and I saw her just before I came over. She was just a year old when she was diagnosed with rare kidney disease, cancer. After 26 blood transfusions, 11 rounds of radiation, 8 rounds of chemo, 1 kidney removed.
Jesus Christ.
Given a 5% survival rate. He wrote how in the darkest moments he thought, if she goes, I can't stay. Many of you have been through that as well. Jill and I understand that like so many of you. And he read Jill's book describing our family's cancer journey and how we tried to steal moments of joy where we could with Bo. For them, that glimmer of joy was the half smile of their baby girl. It meant everything to them. They never gave up hope. Little Ava never gave up hope. She turns 4 next month. They just found out Ava's beating the odds, is on her way to being cured of cancer. And she's watching from the White House tonight and she's not asleep already.
Can you fucking imagine having a 1-year-old go through cancer treatment?
We can save.
Holy shit. God. Being a parent's hard enough. I can't even fucking imagine. That's
Let
insane.
this be a truly American moment that rallies the country and the world together and proves that we can still do big things. 20 years ago, under the leadership of President Bush and countless advocates and champions, he undertook a bipartisan effort through PEPFAR to transform the global fight against HIV/AIDS. It's been a huge success. He thought big. He thought large. He moved. I believe we can do the same thing with cancer. Let's end cancer as we know it. Cure some cancers once and for all. Folks, there's one reason why we've been able to do all of these things. Our democracy itself. It's the most fundamental thing of all. With democracy, everything's possible. Without it, nothing is. The last few years, our democracy has been threatened and attacked, put at risk, put to the test in this very room on January the 6th. And then just a few months ago, an unhinged big lie assailed and unleashed a political violence, the home of the then Speaker of the House of Representatives, using the very same language the insurrectionists used.
Oh, I'm laughing at a
These
comment, in
halls
case you're
enchanted
wondering.
on January 6th.
Someone
Here
said, I'm
tonight in
glad
this
Johnny Depp
chamber
could make it.
is a man who bears
Killed
the
it.
scars of that brutal attack, but is as tough and as strong, as resilient as they get. My friend Paul Pelosi. Paul, stand up. But such a heinous act should have never happened. We must all speak out. There's no place for political violence in America. We have to protect the right to vote, not suppress the fundamental right. Honor the results of our elections, not subvert the will of the people. We have to uphold the rule of law and restore trust in our institutions of democracy. And we must give hate and extremism in any form no safe harbor. Democracy must not be a partisan issue. It's an American issue. Every generation of Americans has faced a moment where they have been called to protect our democracy, defend it, stand up for it. And this is our moment. My fellow Americans, we meet tonight at an inflection point, one of those moments that only a few generations ever face, where the direction we now take is going to decide the course of this nation for decades to come. We're not bystanders of history. We're not powerless before the forces that confront us. It's within our power of we, the people. We're facing the test of our time. We have to be the nation we've always been at our best, optimistic, hopeful, forward-looking, a nation that embraces light over dark, hope over fear, unity over division, stability over chaos. We have to see each other not as enemies, but as fellow Americans. We're good people. The only nation in the world built on an idea. The only one.
This American exceptionalism, man, I can't fucking take it. It is so stupid. It's just so...
Other nations.
Just talk about yourselves. You don't have to compare
are
yourself to the
defined by
world.
geography,
Please.
ethnicity.
Please. For your sake, don't.
We're the only nation based on an idea that all of us, every one of us, is created equal in the image of God. A nation that stands as a beacon to the world. A nation in a new age of possibilities. So I've come to fulfill my constitutional obligation to report in the State of the Union. And here's my report. Because the soul of this nation is strong, because the backbone of this nation is strong, because the people of this nation are strong, the State of the Union is strong. I'm not new to this place. I stand here tonight having served as long as about any one of you have ever served here. But I've never been more optimistic about our future, about the future of America. We just have to remember who we are. We're the United States of America, and there's nothing beyond our capacity if we do it together. God bless you all, and may God protect our troops. Thank you.
It's over. So I'll let this keep going. I thought the middle of the speech was good. So let's first talk, I'm talking purely optics here. Like, say, I don't know, a random person's watching the clips tomorrow, or they're watching it live. Someone who doesn't pay too close attention, they're just like, oh, this is on. Let me just see what he's saying. When Biden was talking about how something along the lines of like corporations are screwing you and people are catching on to it. Again, I'm talking about optics here. because yes, we can get to the actual politics and who these politicians work for, including Joe Biden. But just the optics of the speech and what he was talking about and what people are feeling and getting very specific about getting price gouged and that sort of thing. I thought the optics on that is fantastic. And there was a good chunk, like maybe 10 minutes on that. So that I think was good for him. Again, optics-wise. If you know anything and you understand how closely all these, well, not all, vast majority of them are with massive corporations and the wealthy, then you understand why not much has really changed. That said, you know, he brought some things up, the cap on insulin for people on Medicare. Good. It should be for everyone. It should be for all drugs, ultimately. But that wasn't even an attempt while they had the majority. That said, the GOP did block the full-on insulin cap for everyone, so, you know, I guess you can blame them for that. But there was never even any real fight to try and do anything substantial with the cost of pharmaceuticals, despite the issue being pointed out by Biden and others in the Democratic Party forever. Also worth mentioning, I think Bernie Sanders appears to be the only person there wearing a mask. Good on him for still taking this seriously. What else? I don't know. You know, overall, I actually think it was a better Biden speech. You know, he can be up and down. Of course, he's going to fumble words. Whatever. I don't think that even really matters in terms of what people expect out of Joe Biden. But in terms of like the emotion he brought, again, all of this is optics, because that's what this is. Like, what else is this for? This is all spectacle. This is all just optics. So in terms of that, I thought it was a pretty good speech. But, you know, again, the issue is knowing too much, right? Like, if you follow this stuff, you know too much, and you understand that a hell of a lot more should be done. I mean, he brought up climate change and I guess the need to address that, but then he has to balance that with, oh, well, we're still going to have oil. Don't worry. Like, it's every time I hear any of these politicians, with the exception of like Bernie Sanders and, you know, a handful of people in the House, whenever I hear people like this, Joe Biden or whoever, bring up climate change and the need to address climate change, and they don't go nearly as far as what is necessary, but they talk about it like, oh, we are addressing this issue. I'm just thinking, like 30 years in the future, people that are kids now watching this shit, watching these something like this from 30 years ago, and just watching it with like anger at how fucking absurd all of this shit is. The absolute emptiness with, like, do you understand? Like, this is the most important issue, and yes, it gets mentioned along with everything else, but apart from speeches, apart from all that shit, they're not getting anywhere near what is necessary to actually do something about what is going to happen to this planet and to humanity. We are on the verge within the next 100 years of a very, very different world. Giant masses of land that are currently inhabited, no longer inhabited. Massive food shortage, possible water shortage. All of this shit is coming because this is not being addressed in the way that it needs to be addressed, not just by the U.S., to be fair, but globally. And very few people bring that sort of urgency to the issue. And this is, like, based on polling, based on, you know, asking people what they think about this, people are aware. People know this is a serious issue. People know this needs to be addressed. Many people have felt the personal impact of the climate crisis with extreme weather and how that's impacted their lives. People know this. The issue is the politicians. The issue is massive corporations, oil companies, the fossil fuel industry, and their continued hold on politicians worldwide. That is the issue here. So just anytime it's brought up, it's sort of, for me, the entire veil just gets thrown out, because you then wake up and realize, oh yeah, this is all just bullshit. This entire speech is bullshit. You know, you can talk about optics and how the average person who doesn't know anything may view this, but at the end of the day, it's all bullshit. This is not, it's not being addressed, and it continues to be an issue that only they can do something about. Like, yes, you know, we can all come together and do what? Like, ultimately, there has to be some proper organization on the ground. There has to be strikes, work stoppage. There has to be specific goals where large swaths of people don't go to work for like a week. And you can't really expect that, because people need to live. People need to make money. People need their job to survive in a situation where they're barely surviving. So the idea of some sort of, you know, massive strike without any actual support in place for those people that don't have that income, like, you need that infrastructure. There's, in terms of organizing our way into a better position, it's very tough. So we're at the whims of these clowns who don't do shit on this issue, as they pretend that, you know, oh, we just passed the biggest climate change agenda. Yeah, because you haven't done fucking shit all for the past 50 years. Yeah, I guess it's the biggest, but in terms of what is necessary, you didn't do shit. But sorry to bring you all down. It's just like it's an ongoing problem, and it's very frustrating, because, you know, people are on the right side. The masses are on the right side on this issue. They know what the fuck's going on. It's these clowns in power that don't care. Let me get some chats, and then I'll grab some random chats as well. Where did I stop? Evan says Nancy Pelosi is the greatest speaker in history. That's what Biden mentioned at some point. I guess to him, I mean, there isn't a whole lot of competition. Let's be frank. Stone Canuck says the data shows that for every time we put $1 into streamers like David, we get 10 times the return. I've also heard this. Don't ask for the data, but I've heard many people are saying that you get back 10 times what you put into streamers like me, or more specifically me. But thank you very much, Stone Canuck, for your chat there. Karu says, can you enable gifted memberships, David? So I looked into it while we were streaming. I couldn't find any option for it. It sounds like it's enabled. It may just be an American thing. I don't know. It's apparently, if you can gift memberships, you hit the little $ beside the chat, and there should be a place in there to do them. But if it's not there, then they're not enabled for whatever reason. It should be an automatic thing once they roll it out to my channel, though. Fly Chopperfly says, please notice how he quotes Bernie, but never acted. Oh yeah, Biden, whoever's around him, or maybe it's him, they know what resonates with people in terms of certain comments around workers, certain comments around climate change, like the cost of healthcare. Like he will grab certain things from what Bernie Sanders has said, and then he'll say them, but he doesn't mean it. Bernie has a 30, 40-year history of fighting for these things. Biden does not. Biden has a history of going with the wind, which, you know, could be used to your advantage if the wind is on your side, but he has no real principles. He just wants to be liked. So, of course, he's going to pull Bernie quotes if he wants to be liked. Lawn Gnome says, it's amazing how they say everything right, but then half-ass the solutions. Absolutely. Yeah. Fly Chomperfly says, it's testament to how popular Bernie's policies are. Exactly. Beezert says, good to spend this address chatting with comrades. Thanks much, David. I enjoyed this a lot. Thank you so much. Thank you all so much. Let me grab some more chats. It's late, but I can sit here for a bit. I don't get it. Still got some people in here. David is a black pillar. Thank you for the stream. We know, David. Thanks for keeping it real. Thank you. Who carries the torch after Bernie, says Think Beyond. Who carries the torch after Bernie? It depends what we're talking about here. Let me look up a name that I just forgot. But I've covered him before. Josh Shapiro. There we go. Oh yeah, to answer a question earlier, who's the best governor? It's very early. But Josh Shapiro is probably up there. I think he has some potential. So he's the governor of Pennsylvania. I think I don't know. I like the what do they say, the cut of his jib. I like Josh Shapiro. In terms of people in Congress, I mean, you got people that I would like versus people that actually have a shot are very different. So Ilhan Omar would be amazing. Ilhan Omar is not going to become a president, a candidate, let alone a president, in my lifetime because of how, let's be honest, racist Americans are. So that's not going to happen. But that'd be great. Nina Turner, always a great mention. Cori Bush, fantastic. Rashida Tlaib, fantastic. These are all people that I would like to see. And also very unrealistic. Katie Porter, there's some potential there, especially if she becomes the new senator in California. Let's hope she does. Let's also hope, by the way, that Ro Khanna or someone who may split the vote with Porter does not run. Has Barbara Lee announced? Because it's Porter can definitely win that Senate race in California, but it has to be like the left vote has to go to her. It can't be split. If it's going to be split, she's going to lose to freaking Schiff. Anyways, that's who comes to mind immediately. I'm sure there are some others that I forgot. Yeah, look, Josh Shapiro is not perfect, of course. But if you're asking me who's realistic and who's good and realistic, Josh Shapiro is definitely a name that I would put down, as well as Katie Porter. John Fetterman as well. I need to see Fetterman in another cycle. Like, I need to see him past this stroke and the impact of it, because even before he had the health scare, I don't quite remember him being a great orator, like great at delivering speeches. I'd have to go back and watch some of them, but I don't, because I feel like if he was great, then I would know. I would not have forgotten. But I don't really remember what Fetterman was like before he had his health scare, and I don't think he was all that impressive on a stage. Because, again, I'm sure he'd be great, but it's what is possible. And if you aren't all that talented at speaking, then it's going to be a problem. No, I do not agree with Pete Buttigieg for president. No, definitely not. And after his disaster as a transportation secretary, I don't think many liberals even think he has a shot. But I'm sure he'll try. Let's do the second camera. Hasn't got enough love. In this one, I'm cold. It's like a freezer in here. freezing cold in here, guys. But now I'm warm. This makes my skin look much better. Here I look like a ghost. I gotta change the colors on this one. This is not good. But the good thing about this camera is it focuses. What can I focus on here? My DS Lite. Look at that. Look at that focus. Incredible. Now I'm in focus. See? Fantastic camera that I don't use enough. But back to the warm one here. What about AOC? AOC I think is good. I wonder if she's already been sort of defined by the right to the point that it makes it hard for her to win an election in a similar way like Hillary Clinton. That said, Hillary was not a good candidate, so. But she was sort of like the enemy of Republicans for like 20 years. Shelly says, did you play, off topic, did you play The Last of Us and are you watching the show? Yes, I've played both games. I have not yet watched the show. Honestly, because I don't know if I'm up for it. Like, I know the story. I don't know if I'm really in the end of the world fungus zombie mood. Like, it's just when I because I consume this shit all day, I find it hard to get into serious, depressing dramas. But maybe it's so good that I'll be able to get over that. I don't know. But I'm not currently in that place. What's that? There's one HBO show that just recently ended that I was really enjoying. Or it didn't end, but it was 2 seasons, and they'll have more. It's that hotel one. I enjoyed that. That's more like what I'm into right now. Just like some ridiculous shit with some rich people getting fucked. Like that's Succession. That's coming back soon. Also going to be. I love that show. That show is it's so enjoyable to watch. Rich people tear each other apart. Great show. Have you played the Dead Space remake, says Mark. Yes, I'm like 6 hours into it. It's the farthest I've White Lotus is the show I was talking about earlier with the hotel. Yes, White Lotus, great. So the chat's a little delayed, or I should say the videos for you is delayed, so the chat will be delayed for me. But where was I? I was on oh yeah, Dead Space. I'm like, I think 7 hours into Dead Space. I've never in my life gotten this far into a horror game. I don't like horror. It legitimately scares me. I don't like jump scares. But the Dead Space remake is so good that I just keep playing it. And the way I get through it is I put a podcast on while I'm playing it, so I'm not just fully immersed in like the audio and the visual of Dead Space. So I'm able to actually get through the game. So when there's like a jump scare, it doesn't impact me as much because I got a podcast going. So it's so good. It's so good. I never played the original, so it's all new to me. It is a fantastic game. Will likely be my biggest surprise of the year come the end of the year time, because I just did not expect to even play it, let alone enjoy it.
The House will come to order. For what purpose does the gentleman from Louisiana...
Why are you throwing out all the worst candidates? First you said Pete Buttigieg, now you're saying Amy Klobuchar could be a good president. I don't want to... If you're being serious, I don't mean to offend you. But these are horrible these are horrible choices. Terrible. No. Terrible. Terrible. In fact, I think Amy Klobuchar and... why don't I just do... is the chat not working with the side screen? What the hell? Okay, there should be a chat here, and there's not. That is weird. So I'll just go back down here for now. Amy Klobuchar and Pete Buttigieg, in my opinion, would be worse than Biden. Because they are more clear in their ideology. Biden, as I said earlier, I think he sort of moves with the wind. He wants to be popular, but he'll never try to offend anybody, so he'll still err on the side of corporations and the wealthy. But Klobuchar and Buttigieg, I don't know what the hell they bring. They bring nothing. Yes, RE4 remake also coming. That's it. To show you how much of a bitch I am, I stopped playing Resident Evil 4. So I think I rented it on GameCube because, again, I knew I wasn't going to actually play through the whole game. So I believe I rented it. We got to watch these people. This is distracting. And I stopped playing at the sea monster. Once we got to the sea monster in Resident Evil 4, I was like, all right, I'm out. Cannot do sea monster. And I stopped playing that game. But now that I found a hack, which is to play a podcast while playing a horror game, then I'm definitely, look at this moron. What are they saying about this?
Speech.
Instead of making sure some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority.
C-SPAN, you better correct the record here and be like, Joe Biden is actually correct.
Contact my office. I'll give you a copy. I'll give you a copy of the proposal. That means
Come on,
Congress
C-SPAN.
doesn't vote. Well, I'm glad to see you. No, I tell you, I enjoy conversion.
What a hideous clown. Hideous.
You know, it means
Disgusting.
if Congress doesn't keep the programs the way they are, they'd go away.
Okay, I want to hear the commentary. What do you know about Marianne Williamson? I like Marianne. She's very nice. I don't think she has a shot in hell at primarying Joe Biden. But it's a nice thought. I don't disagree with her trying. Might as well try. It's not going to hurt. If anything, it would make Biden stronger if she's actually any kind of challenge. But the media is not even going to cover Marianne Williamson. If she actually, I'm not sure if she is, but if she actually challenges, God, he's the worst. Mike Lee is. Wait.
Moments, as Ed O'Keefe notes, ahead of tonight's speech, there was this poll put out by the Washington Post that found on this question
I saw
of
this
the
earlier.
debt ceiling. And
Share this early if you're early to the stream. Oh yeah, Marianne. Look, guys, we gotta be realistic. Marianne is not in Congress. Like, it's one thing to say, thinking back to 2015, how no one took Bernie Sanders seriously. Fine. But he was still a senator, and it was still an open primary. This time, Biden is president. There is no open primary. And you expect Marianne to pull off what Bernie did in 2015? Really? No, it's not going to happen. But I'm not against her running. Do it. I would love to see it. But it's not going to happen. But I hope I'm wrong. Have you tried GoldenEye on Switch yet? I haven't, actually. I have the N64 controller. It's not up here. I think it's in my TV room. But I've actually played through half of GoldenEye on the Xbox version, and I did it on stream, actually. In fact, if you are still here, that means you enjoy me enough to potentially subscribe to my other YouTube channel, which I'm just now beginning to put more content on a regular basis. YouTube.com/David Dole, that is my name. I will link to it here in the chat. DOEL. There you go. On there is me playing GoldenEye 007 on Xbox for 2 hours and 45 minutes. So if you want to check that out, I initially streamed that on Twitch, and then I uploaded it to this YouTube page. And I also put out a original creation on this channel as well, called it's my new segment called Remembering, where I pick some game out of my past, play it a bit, talk about it. It's more short videos, so this one is on Frequency from PS2 era, about 12 minutes long. Just a little discussion about a fantastic music rhythm game from 2001. But anyways, you should have it linked under the channel section of this page. I should. The reason I think I initially did, and then I took it away when I wasn't uploading as much. I may put it back, but I also don't want, I don't know. It's hard because there's many sections on the homepage on the Rational National that I want people to see. Like, latest videos will always be top. Then past live streams have all the Leftist Mafia episodes. And then I got the sections American news, Canadian news. I got to figure out where would I put that channel section without disturbing what's going on there. Mark says, did you hear about Jimmy Dore's awful anti-worker NDAs he made his employees sign? Crazy. Yeah, I did. So I'm not all that familiar with how common or uncommon NDAs are in this industry. But apparently, according to Jordan Sheridan and others who have even signed NDAs in the past, Dore's is like his is like insane. In terms of, I think it's like $10,000 per per thing that you break. I didn't read too deep into it, but according to people that know, it is apparently crazy. So yeah, I mean, this stuff isn't surprising, right? We all know who he is at this point. I hope we do. I mean, just look at his content. Like 99% of it is just right-wing trash. I hope once he did the anti-vax stuff that whatever stragglers were left kind of clued in. Oh, God. She's talking?
I'm the first woman to lead my state, and he's the first man to surrender his presidency to a woke mob that can't even tell you what a woman is. In the radical...
Sorry, no anti-trans shit on this channel. Go fuck yourself. I can't even look at her. Get off my television. Get the fuck out of here. We'll go with the blank. Here, we'll do this. No, we'll do this. There we go. There we go. Now we got the best of both worlds here. I can look at the chat, and you got two angles on me. This angle is not. This is a greasy angle. Man, you can like tell when I shave last. This is not. Let's sit back here. Here we go. There we go. A little less greasy back here. Let's add some insanity to the screen here.
They calling me stupid.
This is truly mental illness. This is truly mental illness.
This is truly mental illness.
This is truly mental illness.
Absolutely. David, do you watch R.M. Brown? I am the original R.M. Brown fan. I believe I was the first political channel to really recognize him. So, but seriously though, a friend of mine discovered him 2 years ago. I shouldn't say discovered him, but came across one of his videos 2 years ago. I was surprised I hadn't seen him up until then because they were really good videos even back then. And oh my God, the battery just died. It's look at that. I have it plugged in. It's plugged in. I guess it was going off the battery. All right. Well, we're back to this. What was I saying? Oh yeah. So a friend of mine came across one of his videos 2 years ago, and I don't know. I've been watching since then. R.M. Brown is the reason why he's so good is because nobody can imitate what he does. He is him. The way he edits, the way his content structured, that is R.M. Brown. So he cannot be duplicated. So if you haven't checked out R.M. Brown, definitely check out R.M. Brown. R.M. Brown. He does funny political videos. A lot of it is looking at what the right wing is doing, and he allows me to absorb some of that shit and not want to go completely insane. All right, maybe I get off soon. I shouldn't say I thought. I've been thinking. Tomorrow, depending how things are, I may just like do some streaming. I don't know. I feel like I'm out of it this week. I didn't put out a video today. Nothing was really resonating with me that I wanted to cover. And I can't get myself to cover like the earthquake stuff. It's so fucking depressing. And I have nothing really to add to that conversation. And I just feel like there's not much else happening that I want to dive into. But we will see. Point being, make sure you're subbed and you hit the bell notification icon below this video. And hit like. But the bell icon to get all notifications. I put up like 1 or 2 videos a day, so you're not going to be bombarded. But it definitely helps the algorithm. What do you usually stream on Twitch? I have streamed all kinds of games. So tomorrow, actually, yeah, good. That's a kind of a good question because it brings up where will I be streaming if I stream tomorrow? I may be on Twitch. I may be on here. I don't know. The Twitch link is below this video. I think I put it there. I think. Let me see. Yes, it is. It's just the same as this. It's twitch.tv/The Rational National. But on Twitch, I'm usually gaming on there, and I play a lot of new stuff and old stuff. So, I'll jump on an emulator, play some old games, but I'll also I played Hi-Fi Rush. I played Dead Space on there. GoldenEye when they released that again. You can check the page. It tells you what I played, but a lot of it's all over the place. I don't stick to one game. I enjoy variety. Cult of the Lamb. I'm waiting for a price drop on that. There's too many games, man. There's too many games. Cult of the Lamb seems really fun. And I want to play it, but I'm trying to get through Radiant Historia on my 3DS. I think I'm in the last 10 hours, looking at how long that game is. I also want to get through Dead Space, and then I finally want to get to Persona 4. God, even just thinking about the games I want to play, like, it stresses me out because I just don't have the time. And I've recently gotten into JRPGs, which makes the whole situation even worse because those games are way too freaking long. Stardew Valley, never played. Sounds fun. I'm sure I'd like it. There's too much. Not to mention old games. Like, I just grabbed Baten Kaitos. I don't know. It has like I have no idea how to pronounce this. But I do remember this coming out on the GameCube back in the day, but I was not into these sorts of games back then. But now I am. So like I want to play that. Got some Pokemon. I got this for my girlfriend, but she wasn't super into this kind of Pokemon. I still want to play this. Pokemon Arceus sounds really good. I still got to finish SMT5. I'm like 20 hours into that. I got SMT3 because I'm crazy. That was on sale. The other issue is all these games go on sale frequently. So I've been buying more games because they've been on sale, and it's making the backlog even worse. Yeah, there's a lot I want to get to. Play some classic Square games. I'd rather wait for them all to be remade. The Final Fantasy VII remake was so good that if they do, and it sounds like there's been rumors of them doing a Final Fantasy IX remake. That would be great because I'd like to play that. Are you gonna? Hey, maybe I'll stream that. The Nintendo Direct. What time is that again? Is it 9 a.m. Pacific? Is that, or no? What was it? What? 5 p.m. Eastern? That's terrible. That's the worst time. What? Why is it so late in the day? Okay, well, I don't know. I likely will not be streaming that. That's too late. What the hell? It should be 9 a.m. Fuck that shit. I'm glad to see many gamers in here. Good. Make sure you keep following me, so you can see my gaming content. Because yeah, she's still going somehow.
Absolutely no idea that the president and first lady were about to walk into that room. And when they did,
California has jungle primaries, David. Yes, they do. Which means that someone like Katie Porter could be screwed if the left vote is cut into several people. Because she may not even make it out of the initial vote, right? I mean, it depends. It depends how many people are actually in the running. So we're gonna have to see how that plays out. Ever played BioShock? Yes, of course. Yes, I played it when it first came out. Do you think Feinstein will run for re-election? I actually don't. I think at this point she's going to retire. The writing's on the. I mean, she has to. she physically has to, because there's reports from like 3 years ago now about how she forgets conversations that she just had. How her entire staff do everything for her. Like there's no way that she can run again. There's no way. And now that she has an actual challenge, several challenges, like what? Is she going to be in a debate? Are we going to see Feinstein debate? I don't think so. I am confident she's going to bow out. And she'll probably end up backing like Adam Schiff. That's my guess. She'll back whoever the most conservative choice is. And I wonder how that's going to move the needle. Because you see someone like Bernie, even when he was losing the primary in 2020, he still won California. So they still, when they have the option to choose left, they choose left. But I don't know. Note to self, Succession, HBO, White Lotus is definitely good. Yes, definitely watch Succession and White Lotus. Both fantastic. Pelosi already backing Schiff. Yeah, that's right. Pelosi already backed Schiff, which should give you an idea of who not to vote for. Pokemon Go to the polls. Do you miss Pokemon Go? I actually never played Pokemon Go. Do you think more Gen Zers will run? Yes. It's a fact that more will run because they're going to get older and be eligible. So yes, we will see more Gen Zers for sure. Not just Maxwell Frost. Have you played League? I assume you mean League of Legends? No. I have kind of avoided all the what are they called? MOBAs? I've avoided them all. Hey David, are you excited about Atomic Heart Wanted? Should we watch them? I'm kind of curious. Why did Anna agree to come on Ben Shapiro's show? Or we can listen to Chris Isaak, Wicked Game. I think we should do that. I mean, I would do that. Fantastic song. One of the greatest songs of all time. Amazing song. Amazing song. But I can't play it here. Otherwise, I'll be copyright striked. All right. Let me finish this up, wrap this up. What was I reading? I was reading something, wasn't I? League. Oh, yeah. I haven't. Oh, yeah. Atomic Heart Wanted Dead and Hogwarts Legacy. I have no interest in either of those games. I'm going to, if reviews come out for Atomic Heart, what is Wanted Dead? What is Wanted Dead? We'll see on the reviews for Atomic Heart. Wanted Dead, I'm not super into like high intensity action games, so because I'm usually terrible at them, so probably not going to be into Wanted, but I don't know. No, very unlikely I'll touch any of those games. I have not watched Last of Us. Talked a bit about that earlier. I have not watched it. I've played the games. I know the story. I don't know if I'm up for a post-apocalyptic, depressing show. Anna had Vosh on. I saw that a couple weeks ago. It felt very corporate and strange. I think it's like you don't normally see Vosh in like a on that show. So yeah, it was different to see him in that setting. But the conversation I thought was pretty good. Moo Kachu. That's such a good name. Moo Kachu. Says, hey, David, why do you think the Liberals and NDP are being so lax when it comes to dismantling our healthcare? I feel like they should be louder about the mess. This has been an issue for... the Liberals and NDP do not know how to fight. They have to be as loud and obnoxious as Doug Ford, except they have to be that while also being correct, which is very easy to do. Because there is good reason to be loud and obnoxious against Doug Ford on these issues. I agree, they have not been louder. They have to do something outlandish to get media attention, is what it comes down to. And I don't know if they are really willing to take the kind of risk and seem like they are being, unleader-like. But that's what needs to be done. There needs to be some anger here. You have to be angry about this. If you're not angry, if your leaders aren't angry at what Doug Ford's doing in Ontario, then you're not going to defeat him. Oh yeah, I know. I played it earlier. Bernie has a new video with my voice at the beginning. In case you missed it earlier, Bernie Sanders. This is... So I shared this earlier. I'll just share this briefly. This beginning part here. I saw someone tweet me this, and someone on YouTube chat before I even came on mentioned it, and I was like, what? I saw the video and I was like, Independent Senator Bernie Sanders is preparing for a new fight within his new role as the chairman of the Senate Health Committee.
The new chairman.
That's my voice. It's a little wild considering Bernie is a major factor for why I even started covering politics. So pretty cool. Pretty cool for me personally to see that kind of thing. But there you go. You know what that means? Bernie Sanders has heard my voice. Pretty wild shit. Is it weird hearing your own voice? It's not with my own videos because I shot the video and I'm used to that now. I mean, initially hearing your own voice is really weird, of course, for everybody. But I'm used to it. But hearing it in a Bernie Sanders video, very bizarre. Yes, that is very weird. Have you checked in on Working Families Party response? I have not. I'm going to see it tomorrow. Is it up now? I may even cover it tomorrow, so I'm probably not going to jump on that now. Funny they didn't contact you. Well, I mean, I'm essentially media, right? They don't need to contact me. They just took it from the video. So that was from the video I'd shot like last week, I think. I shot that video on Bernie's new position. All right. I'm actually surprised I've stayed on longer. I didn't have to. I've just been having a good time. Look at this see-through shirt. Killer. Can't get... This is magic is what this is. My magic rational shirt. All right, time to get off so I can maybe try to get a little further into Radiant Historia. Fantastic RPG, by the way. Hidden gem on 3DS. Radiant Historia. Check it out. Also on DS. And then I'll probably, do a little this, and then go to sleep. All right. I may stream tomorrow. Make sure you're following me here. Make sure you are hitting that bell icon so you know if I do stream. Also follow me on Twitch, which is also free. So follow me there as well in case I stream there. I'm not sure what the plan is tomorrow if I stream. But follow me on both so you know for sure. All right. Thank you all for showing up. Until the next State of the Union. Where's my thing? Here it is. Good night.